The 8 lies every woman wants you to believe, and why you keep falling for them. Let me ask you something. How many times have you heard a woman say things like, "I want a nice guy. I don't care about money. I'm not like other girls," and deep down, something inside you whispered, "That doesn't feel right." But you ignored that instinct. You swallowed the words. You trusted the surface, not the truth. And that's exactly what this video is about. Today we're diving into 8 of the biggest lies women tell men. Not always with bad intentions, not always to manipulate, and not always consciously. Sometimes society teaches them these lies. Sometimes they tell them to protect their image. Sometimes they say it because it sounds right, not because it is right. But if you don't understand the truth behind these statements, you end up confused, misled, insecure, and worst of all, you start behaving in ways that destroy your respect, your attraction, and your value as a man. So let's start right here. The lie every man has heard. "I want a nice guy." Sounds sweet, innocent, even romantic. But here's the reality. Women don't fantasize about nice. They don't dream about safe. They don't crave predictable. They want a man with direction, presence, strength, and a backbone. But society teaches them to say they want the opposite. So men by the words and ignore the behavior. Then comes the second lie. "I want a guy who opens up emotionally." Men hear this and think, okay, she wants me to be vulnerable, sensitive, expressive. But there's a difference between emotional maturity and emotional dumping. Open up too much, too early, too often, and she stops seeing you as a man and starts seeing you as a burden. The third lie is one of the biggest social illusions. "Jag hatar dominant, arrogant män." Really? So why do most women chase them, date them, cry over them, and circle back to them? Because confidence, assertiveness, and masculine leadership get mislabeled as arrogance by society. But deep down, women are attracted to direction, not passivity. Then there's money doesn't matter. This one has been told since the beginning of time. Yet every era, every culture, every country proves the opposite. Resources matter. Security matters. Stability matters. Ambition matters. And then comes the classic. "He's just a friend." Men hear this and get confused. But ask any guy privately what he thinks, and he'll tell you exactly what that friend is hoping for. Lie number 6 cuts deepest. "My past doesn't matter." But relationships are built on patterns, history, and behavior. Her past matters. Your past matters. Everyone's past shapes their future. That's reality. Then there's the emotional escape hatch. "I'm not ready for a relationship." Translation: "I'm not ready for one with you." It's harsh, but it's the truth every man needs to hear. And finally, "I'm not like other girls." Ironically, the moment she says this, she becomes like most girls who say that exact same line. So today, we're not here to attack women. We're not here to blame them. We're here to decode the difference between what women say and what they mean. Because once you understand that, your confidence rises, your boundaries strengthen, your standards sharpen, and your relationships, romantic or otherwise, stop being confusing and start being controllable. Most men hear this phrase and instantly believe it because it sounds wholesome. It sounds pure. It sounds like something a good woman would say. But reality? Reality is not a fairy tale. When a woman says, "I want a nice guy," she's not talking about you. She's not talking about the guy who's always available, always texting first, always agreeing, always adjusting, always chasing. She's talking about a fantasy concept, not a real partner. Because here's the truth most men don't want to accept. Backhand index pointing right, women respect the man who is kind, but they are attracted to the man who is strong. These two things are not the same. A man can be kind and strong. A man can be good and masculine. A man can be generous and disciplined. But the nice guy that women refer to in conversation, he is rarely the man they choose. Imagine this. A girl is sitting with her friends, scrolling through social media. She sees a handsome, confident guy with broad shoulders, a focused expression, strong posture, the aura of a man who knows what he's doing. She pauses. Her eyes widen for half a second. Her breathing slows. Her mind locks in for a moment longer than usual. Now ask yourself, is she imagining him telling her whatever you want, babe? Is she imagining him texting her 24/7? Is she imagining him apologizing for everything? No. She imagines what most women imagine when they meet a masculine man. Intensity, direction, certainty, power, security, mystery. But a nice guy is rarely those things. A nice guy is predictable, safe, comfortable, boring. He tries too hard to be agreeable. He avoids conflict like it's poison. He puts her on a pedestal she never asked for. He gives without being asked and hopes she'll love him back. Women say they want a nice guy because it sounds good. It signals virtue. It avoids judgment. But their biology wants something else. Every woman has two voices inside her. The voice that wants a socially acceptable answer, and the voice that wants a strong man who leads with confidence. The first voice is polite. The second is primal. Which one do you think controls attraction? This is perhaps the most confusing lie because it sounds healthy. It sounds emotionally intelligent. And it should be true, but in the dating world, it's not. Women say, I want him to be emotionally open. I want vulnerability. I want deep conversations. But here's the part they don't say out loud. Backhand index pointing right. They want emotional expression from the man they already respect. Not from the guy who's trying to win them over. Not from a man she isn't attracted to yet. Not from the man she hasn't chosen. Women love emotional depth, but only when it comes from a strong man. Not a man who is struggling. Not a man who treats her like a therapist. Not a man who breaks down too quickly, too often, or too early. Women desire a man with emotions, but they resent a man who cannot control his emotions. There's a difference. Think about this. A man who opens up after showing strength attractive. A man who opens up before showing strength risky. Why? Because women subconsciously evaluate safety. A man who cannot manage his emotions signals instability. A man who expresses himself after demonstrating competence signals maturity. For example, a masculine, disciplined man who says, yeah, I've been through some difficult things, but I handled them, creates attraction. But a man who says, I am scared, I am stressed, I don't know what to do, I need you, creates pressure. It's not her fault. It's evolutionary psychology. A woman can handle your emotions. She just cannot handle being the center of your emotional world. When men hear open up, they often misunderstand it as dump everything on her, share every insecurity, cry to her daily. But here's the truth. Backhand index pointing right women want vulnerability, not weakness. Backhand index pointing right women want expression, not emotional chaos. Backhand index pointing right women want depth, not dependence. A strong man opens up strategically, not constantly. This is one of the biggest lies women are forced to tell because admitting the truth is socially forbidden. A woman can't openly say, I like men who are bold, powerful, assertive, confident, direct, dominant, and slightly rebellious. Because society will judge her instantly. Women are taught to say they like kind, gentle, sweet, soft-hearted men, but their body language betrays them. Observe any club, observe any party, observe any campus, observe any workplace. Which man do women naturally gravitate toward? The guy who quietly sits alone, smiling politely? The man who tries to avoid confrontation, avoid opinions, avoid making waves? Or the man who, walks with confidence, speaks with certainty, holds eye contact, sets boundaries effortlessly, is unbothered by judgment, and knows who he is? You already know the answer. Women say they hate arrogant men. What they really hate is disrespectful men. There's a huge difference. Arrogance that comes from incompetence, disgusting. But confidence that comes from power, irresistible. Dominance doesn't mean aggression. Dominance doesn't mean disrespect. Dominance doesn't mean controlling behavior. It means leadership. It means decisiveness. It means masculine energy. It means emotional stability. It means direction. A man who knows who he is will always be more attractive than a man who is constantly seeking approval. If dominance was truly unattractive, women wouldn't flock to men who have influence, direction, swagger, competence, charisma, presence, boldness. And yet, these are always the men chosen first. Always. Let's cut through the polite fantasy and talk about the truth most men never want to face. Women say money doesn't matter because it sounds morally correct. It sounds kind. It sounds noble. It sounds like she's above superficial things. But emotionally and biologically, resources have always mattered. Not because women are gold diggers, but because throughout human evolution, a man's ability to provide safety, stability, and a future was directly tied to his ability to access resources. The modern world changed, but human psychology hasn't. When she says, money doesn't matter, character matters, here's what she really means. Money alone won't keep me. Character plus stability plus ambition plus direction equals attraction. A broke man with good character still feels like a risk. Think about it. A woman may fall in love with your heart, but she builds a life with your stability. And no matter how many times she says, I don't care about money, she will always care about these. Does he have direction? Is he stable? Is he reliable? Does he have a future he's building? Can he protect the life we want? Money isn't about flexing, it's about security. And security is attraction. Women aren't lying because they're evil. Most of them lie because they don't want to look shallow. They don't want to admit their evolutionary instincts. They don't want to hurt your confidence. So they say what sounds correct, not what is true. And the biggest mistake men make? Believing it literally. Believing they can have no direction, no ambition, no income, no plan, and still be chosen over men who are building their lives. The truth? Money isn't everything. But in 2025, being broke is unattractive. Not because women are greedy, but because a relationship requires stability. And stability requires resources. And resources require a man who knows how to build. A man doesn't need to be rich. He needs to be progressing. Women fall in love with momentum far more than they fall in love with excuses. This one is the most common, the most denied, and the most destructive. When she says, relax, he's just a friend, a man hears peace. A woman knows it creates confusion. You know why? Because male-female friendship is not neutral. Men know it. Women know it too, but they can't say it. Most male friends are backup options, future safety nets, emotional support providers, ego boosters, attention sources, and sometimes, yes, men who are waiting for a chance. Not always, but often enough that ignoring it is foolish. A woman says, trust me, he's just a friend. But think deeper. If you suddenly started texting a woman at 1 a.m., laughing at her jokes, sharing secrets, smiling at your phone when she messages you, would your girl call it just friendship? Of course not, because women know exactly what intimacy looks like. They just want you to pretend you don't. This doesn't mean every friend is a threat, but it does mean that a man should have boundaries. A king does not compete for his queen's attention. A king does not tolerate emotional cheating disguised as friendship. A king does not share his throne with backup options. When a woman says, "He's just a friend," it often means, "He serves a purpose, but I don't want you questioning it." Men destroy their self-respect when they allow emotional third parties inside their relationship. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Women respect the men they cannot play with, not the men who stay quiet to avoid conflict. Everyone has a past. Everyone has mistakes. Everyone has chapters they would rewrite if they could. But here's the honest truth. Her past matters because it shapes her behavior, her expectations, her bonding ability, her loyalty framework, and her worldview. If she has a history of constant breakups, a history of cheating, a history of chaos, a history of party years, a history of emotionally unstable relationships, a history of disrespecting partners, then what makes you believe you will magically be the exception? Now, this is not about judging her. It's about protecting you, because men fall in love with the present version of a woman, but ignore the patterns that created her. A woman's past predicts how she handles conflict, how she values loyalty, how she treats commitment, how she views men, how she respects boundaries, how she attaches emotionally. Patterns don't lie. People do. If her past is destructive, careless, chaotic, or disrespectful, your future with her is at risk. Men ignore red flags because they think love will fix everything. But love doesn't fix patterns. Love reveals them. Her past doesn't define her, but it does inform you. And ignoring that information is how men get used, betrayed, drained, and broken. She is ready for a relationship. She's just not ready with you. That sentence hurts because it's simple, but it's true 99% of the time. Women don't wait for the right time. Women wait for the right man. If she met a man who triggered her emotions, her instincts, her fantasies, and her desire, she would be ready instantly. No hesitación, no confusión, no imfalling. No, I'm focusing on myself. Women don't delay their desires. They delay commitments to men they don't want. A woman not ready for you will suddenly be ready for someone else. Men lie to themselves because the truth hurts more than the excuse. But here's the empowering part. A woman not choosing you doesn't mean you are worthless. It means you have room to evolve. And the moment you work on your discipline, your ambition, your status, your confidence, your environment, your mission, you stop chasing women who need to be convinced and become the man women want to choose. Women say this because every woman wants to feel unique. Every woman wants to feel special. Every woman wants to believe she is different. But statistically, emotionally, behaviorally, most women follow the same patterns, the same psychology, the same emotional wiring. When she says, "I'm not like other girls," she wants your approval. She wants to feel chosen. She wants to feel superior to the average girl. But in reality, most women are similar. Not because they're shallow, but because human psychology is universal. What makes a woman unique is not her words, her promises, her denial. What makes her unique is her discipline, her loyalty, her consistency, her emotional control, her respect, her dedication, her values, her actions. Men fall for words. Kings judge patterns. She is not unique because she claims to be. She is unique if she proves she is. And once you understand this, you stop worshiping her potential and start observing her reality. As we wrap up this journey into the truths behind the 8 lies women often tell, it's important to take a step back and understand the bigger picture. These lies aren't just about deception. They're about perception, societal pressures, and the complex dance of attraction and relationships. Recognizing them doesn't make you cynical. It makes you aware. Awareness is power. When you understand these patterns, You can navigate relationships with clarity, confidence, and self-respect. Let's revisit the lessons we've uncovered. The first lie, "I want a nice guy," teaches us that women's words aren't always aligned with their desires. Attraction isn't always logical. It's visceral. It's about energy, dominance, presence, and confidence more than just politeness or constant agreeability. Understanding this helps you stop over-investing in someone who doesn't truly appreciate your worth. The second lie, "I want a guy who can open up," reminds us that emotional availability must be balanced with strength and self-mastery. Sharing your vulnerability indiscriminately may signal weakness instead of connection. True intimacy comes when a man is both strong and emotionally intelligent, not when he bends to expectations blindly. The third lie, "I hate arrogant or dominant men," highlights the subtlety of human attraction. Confidence, assertiveness, and self-possession may appear arrogant to some, but these are traits that inspire respect and desire. Recognizing the difference between toxic arrogance and healthy self-assuredness is key to maintaining personal boundaries while still being attractive. The remaining lies, from money not matching to "I'm not like other girls," echo similar themes. Society shapes words differently than desires, and perception is often a tool to test character. By understanding these truths, you protect yourself from wasted time, energy, and emotional investment. You learn to recognize red flags, respect your own boundaries, and prioritize relationships with mutual respect and genuine attraction. Ultimately, this knowledge is about self-empowerment. When you internalize these lessons, you no longer chase approval, validation, or affection from anyone. You focus on becoming the man who naturally attracts the right partner, not through manipulation, but through clarity, confidence, and authenticity. You understand that not every woman is the right match, and that's not a rejection, it's a filter. Life is too short to invest in illusions. Invest in reality. So take this insight as a guide, not a weapon. Approach relationships with awareness, not suspicion. Stand firm in your values. Pursue growth relentlessly, and respect yourself above all. When you combine self-respect with understanding of human nature, relationships become less about struggle and more about alignment. Alignment with someone who truly values the man you are. Remember, awareness doesn't make you jaded. It makes you magnetic. A man who sees clearly, understands deeply, and acts wisely becomes irresistible. Not because he tries harder, but because he commands respect effortlessly. The lies we've explored are not traps, they are lessons. And lessons, when mastered, transform your approach to love, life, and connection.